In this bonus episode, we're taking a deep dive into the world of horror remakes with our pals Ben and Rob from the Every Movie Ever podcast. We'll be ranking our favorite foreign horror movies that were Americanized, sharing Ben and Rob's employee picks, and tackling this week's burning question.
This week on the No More Late Fees podcast, we are joined by our pod pals and hosts of the Every Movie Ever podcast, Rob and Ben. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hey, how we doing?
We're so glad
excited
to have you on.
Thanks for having us.
To the audience, I've already yelled at Rob and Ben, so it's going to be even more of a fun ride this bonus episode.
And we've given full permission to curse as much as they want. So
yes.
Fuck yeah. That's why we're friends.
Enablers. We always get on well with enablers.
Yeah.
So why don't you guys tell us a little bit about your podcast? So obviously everyone can go listen.
Right. So whenever we describe it, it sounds really sad and introspective. It's not. But Ben and I had massive mental breakdowns and mental health issues.
Nailing the sales pitch, buddy.
Right, exactly. And I thought rather than fix the problem, podcast around it. So what it actually does is it's an opportunity for Ben and I to be lighthearted and fun for an hour once a week, talking about movies. And it's a kind of thinly veiled, thinly disguised mental health check-in where we get to check in on a friend without having to talk about our problems at any point. We're just talking about films.
Yeah, that's essentially it.
It is, and I don't mean to overstate this, it is the only thing keeping us alive right now. So no pressure.
No pressure. As a listener, I would like to say that the few things that I could just off top of mind can say is that your chemistry fun, so great. I love how you guys are able to rib off of each other and like don't take it too seriously. I just find that you have really fun factoids, like the information I feel like I learn from watching your podcast, because like I'll even listen to episodes and I'm like, I know I'm not going to see this movie because I'm a scaredy cat, but I will listen to Rob and Ben tell me about it, and
that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, the research comes down to when you say Ben and I have chemistry, it's good that his autism slots into my ADHD incredibly well. So it sort of becomes, we have the hyper focus, but then also the scatter shot. And it's just, it works well. It works well. Yeah, we're very proud. We're very proud of our show. We put a lot of work into it. And it's nice to come onto a show that puts equal, well, I'm going to be honest here, probably more effort into theirs.
Way more effort. You guys do 2 episodes a week. That's insane. Like, fair play.
Well, this week we did, is it 6 episodes?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. What? Yeah. In a week?
Yeah.
And all but one, well, aside from this one, all but one are edited and scheduled.
Yeah.
Or live.
Yeah.
I mean, people say get a hobby. I'm going to be like, whatever the opposite of that. Get a job.
Well, I'm unemployed, so thanks.
Yeah.
Man.
Wish we could
feel great about that.
I will. Do you know what? I will. I'll stand by it. You're making me more conservative against my will.
Well, now that we got to learn a little bit about these maniacs here, our new besties.
Yeah.
Jackie, tell us about our game.
So we have a challenge for everyone.
Right.
We are going to collectively list some popular foreign horror movie films that were remade for American audiences. And we're going to share our picks and discuss what worked or what didn't work in the Americanized versions.
Right.
Okay.
So I may need a minute or two.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. We did our prep, so we can run through that.
I was like, oh shit, there's already stuff in here. Usually I'm the one that's like,
no, you
I
can
have
go
my
last.
Stuff, and Danielle's like, oh, I made the question and I didn't think about it.
Did it?
I am the number one guy for thinking of a question that I will ask everybody, and then someone will ask me, and I'm like, I don't know. This isn't relevant.
Oh man, I bought 3 examples.
Yeah, you went in.
So
Okay, teacher's pet.
I want
Overachiever.
I didn't know which way to go with it because the game is like what worked or what didn't work. So I bought one which is like a great example, one which is aggressively middle road, and then one which is fucking awful. So I thought there would be something there for everyone, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, I'm also awkward because I really don't like when you people
Oh,
with your big gulps and your flags and
oh.
your cars that are too big take a precious foreign film. Sorry, let me just push my metaphorical glasses up my nose and get my fedora on my hat more. Right?
Jesus.
I don't like your remakes of things. I think they ruin it.
I would have to agree. You're not wrong. One thing about Americans, we definitely are first in line to talk shit about our own country.
Well, no. So I get why they exist. You know, the US is the largest film and cinema market on the planet. And if something's brilliant and it's worked elsewhere, there is a huge amount of money to be made to go, okay, well, let's just make that for the Western audience. I just think what makes the originals brilliant is the different cultural perspective that has to, by its very nature, be lost when bringing it to an audience that isn't from that culture.
Yes.
Generally, what the language barrier and the market barrier of a cinema of a film coming from another place, what it works as is an incredible filter. Like only the very best of the best will be heard about by me. Like I don't follow Japanese cinema well enough to find out about the mediocre film of the year. I only ever find the gem that is so good that it sort of crossed the barrier.
Okay. I've got a counterpoint to this real quick. So if we're going to just jump in, there was a French movie that played in my local small town cinema. It was a French film called The Tobacco Squad or The Smoking Squad. I can't remember the title of it exactly because it was mental.
Great story so far.
Essentially, it's a group of people with weird superpowers all centered around smoking. And it's a 45-minute long short film. I don't understand the point of it. I've watched it twice, still don't understand the point of it. It's incredible. It's terrible. Everyone in that cinema room hated it. I was having the best time of my life. I think because everyone else hated it, it made my enjoyment go up because I was like, everyone's day is ruined by this. This is so.
For your listeners, I think I should provide some vital context here. Ben watches so many films that his taste has gone a bit kinky. Like he's only into the weird stuff now. If you show him just a solid 7 out of 10 film, he'll go boring. If you show him some absolute car crash, he's like, oh, I love it.
Oh, we've got some movies for you.
We have a movie called Killjoy. The first one. There's actually a bunch of spin-offs.
Killjoy.
Try to sit there and watch it through. Don't stop. Don't question. Just try to watch the whole thing.
Hold on. Let me just make a note here real quick.
While he's writing it out, I'll trade you. There is a small American independent movie made with money primarily raised through the church by a Chinese female director called Love on a Leash. And it is about a lady. Ben, this is one of my favorite films. How dare you interrupt me? Okay. It's about a lady who falls in love with a man who's been magically transformed into a Labrador by a lake in a park. What? And you know how subplots normally happen in parallel? This film goes, nah, fuck all that noise. Let's have a subplot start and then be resolved before we start the next subplot. The voice actor who plays the dog is not the same man who plays the human version.
Yeah. And that makes sense, though. My dog voice would be different from my man voice.
Okay,
clearly.
yeah. And,
biology, Rob.
Many of the actors
were
paid in fruit.
Yes.
Paid in fruit.
What kind of fruit?
Large carrier bags of mixed bodega store fruit.
I'd 1,000%
It's available for free on
that.
YouTube, surprisingly.
Yeah, amazing.
Oh, I just realized I had one of the same movies that one of you guys had.
Well, I mean, mine are the same because.
Well, I don't watch a lot of horror movies, so it
Oh
makes it
wait, is
extremely
yours
difficult.
is yours Let the Right One In or Let Me
Yes.
In?
I like Let Me In better.
Okay, okay,
I don't think Let the Right One In or the whatever is
yeah.
bad, but when you see the original, you're like, oh, why did
See,
they
I
even try to make another one?
yeah, I
Right.
did it the other way around. I watched the original and then I watched Let Me In, and I was like, this is all right. It's the same film with zero subtlety. Like it's just sort of like all the subtlety's gone. Like in the original, it's kind of implied that there's a mutually parasitic relationship between the
Mhm.
child vampire and the probable pedophile guardian. Whereas in the American version, it's a sort of like nonce, child vampire. Ooh, enjoy.
I do think that American film does do that. Like, I think
Yeah,
some of the best things about foreign films are the nuances that they don't have to spoon feed things to their audiences. While in
yeah,
America, I think the studios really think that we're stupid. And I think it's getting worse because
yeah.
they are now looking at movies, especially for streaming,
Mm.
on what can we spoon feed our audiences that they can do while they're doing other things because they
Yeah.
know we are doing double triple screens at this point, so we're not really even watching stuff. Instead of trying to challenge us and say we're going to make it so
Right.
good that you're not going to want to look at screens, they're like,
Yeah.
no, let's dumb this down.
We're gonna
And
make
it's
something
just
so physically and like
right,
cerebral that you're gonna be
Mm.
physically incapable of picking your phone up for an hour and a half.
right.
They're like, no, everyone's idiots. We'll
Yeah,
just, you know what I mean?
well,
Make
because
a coloring book a film.
so we did one collective movie from mine and Ben's list.
Yeah.
Rob, do you want to do one of yours?
Right. So the Magnificent Seven, I think, is one of the only times that I've seen an American film
Famous horror movie.
remake. It's not a horror,
Magnificent
it's a
Seven.
remake. I've already said the horrors, they don't work for me. So, like The Ring, The Grudge,
Yeah.
Pulse, all that kind of stuff. But I think if you're going to remake something from another culture, it has to say as much about your culture as the
Mm,
original does about it.
Mhm.
right.
So the
Mm,
Magnificent Seven, it's no longer the Seven Samurai, it's Seven Cowboys, and it
mm,
becomes an Old West adventure movie, and it leans into the cliche of Hollywood, and it sort of goes on to kind of nicely sum up that whole era of what American filmmaking was.
Mm,
Fantastic. That's exactly what Seven Samurai did for Japan, and then it becomes a remake not only of the content of the film but the context of the film,
right.
rather than just being, if the Magnificent Seven was 1950s Western actors with unfortunate makeup pretending to be samurai, I would be less of a fan.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think the Magnificent Seven is an example of when a non-horror film has been remade really well. I
Mm,
don't know if I've seen an American horror that's based on a foreign movie do that.
no, I don't think
Yeah.
so either. And like what scares me is because I don't like horror that much, but I do very much like Korean horror. Like I will
Mm,
watch Korean
Yeah.
horror movies and also Korean revenge movies because like
right.
I
So Park
honest
Chan Wook, right?
Park
So
Chan Wook.
we're all obsessed.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
they do
Stoker,
revenge so well.
yes.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I was I wanted to cry when I heard that they wanted to remake I Saw the Devil and I was like, please leave that
No.
movie alone.
Oh.
It's a
Yeah.
fucked
right.
up
Yeah.
way to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
It's
Jackie,
insane.
do you want to say any of yours?
Well, I just, and it'll come up a lot this episode, and when we do the ring, I don't like horror movies where you can't kill the antagonist. Like, I want
Oh.
a
Ooh.
fighting
Oh, she's a murder
chance
baby.
to get out alive.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't like this. I can't kill it.
Yes,
And
exactly. I want a way out.
yeah.
And
Okay, fine.
if it's gonna follow me home, I don't want any part of it.
Right.
So,
Right. Okay.
uh,
we talked about this in the episode that like the fact that there is no context for the
Mm.
Japanese lore for this
mhm.
spirit causes problems. This is like another
Yeah.
the translation into American where it just gets fucked up.
Yeah.
Because like you
Yeah.
love the rules of horror. Like you
I
love
do.
to know.
I am
Yeah.
very much Randy in Scream.
Right.
Like you fall
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the hole,
yeah,
you get
yeah.
out alive.
And we
Yeah.
can't have any rules if we don't know what the fuck
structure.
this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So like I appreciate both The Ring and The Grudge. I think cinematically and like they're very beautiful movies to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I just don't want any part of it.
Yeah,
Like
right, okay. Yeah. It's like a 2 out of star, would not recommend. Your Google
Yeah.
review is like, the food was kind of shitty.
Yeah, I just don't want anything I can't kill. I
Right.
will say
Right.
I do like The Grudge because they kept the same director, same main actors. The
Mhm.
setting was in Japan. It was just an American transplant in Japan
Yes.
for the story.
Yeah.
So I did appreciate that.
I feel though that's a kind of point there, though, isn't it? Of you like The Grudge because they remade it as little as possible.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have The Ring and The Grudge, and then Rob let us know
Godzilla.
that-
I think Godzilla
Yeah.
is another good non-horror remake where it's been transplanted well. If I look, Ben and I covered every one of the American legendary MonsterVerse movies. So Godzilla, Kong Skull Island, leading up to Godzilla versus Kong.
which
We were
was my first King Kong movie ever.
Oh my God, that's a
and
place
I
to jump
loved
in.
it.
Right.
I had the time. I was so surprised because like I
Right.
was like, I don't know why I'm seeing this, but okay.
Right.
It's
So, right.
amazing.
So those movies are brilliant because what they do is they start in a grounded reality and then they slowly just start snapping strings that tie you to any sort of
Yeah.
thing until eventually it's a monkey twatting a lizard with a boat. You know?
Yeah.
It's just, and you're like, yeah, this is great. There's a monkey with a Nintendo Power Glove running around in hollower earth. And you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, I love this. That's a very, very different to when then Ben and I watched Godzilla -1, and it's a nuclear holocaust metaphor, and you're like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I am watching the wrong film. I've got my popcorn, I've got my big King Kong mask.
I was
not
so,
having a good time.
I was so not prepared for that. I sat in the cinema. I was nearly in tears at one point, and then just Godzilla on the screen. I was like, "Fuck, this is Godzilla!" Like I was like heartbroken. I was like, "This is one of the strongest war movies I've ever seen in my entire life." Oh my God, big lizard, fantastic! And I'm back in the room. Okay, cool.
I need to watch that one. I heard it was really good.
It's amazing.
It's very, very different. And
Amazing.
I mean, I can't imagine Godzilla versus Kong being my first King Kong movie. You know the Community meme where Troy walks in the room and everything's on fire. It must have been that. You just walk in like, what have I missed?
I was just trying to piece things together. Luckily, the person I saw it with was very open to me asking a lot of questions.
Always good. Always good. Yeah. But I think they've effectively changed it again. They've changed the context into something that's uniquely American rather than sort of doing, inappropriate makeup on a white actor.
I mean, they're still not above it, unfortunately. I'm surprised they actually didn't do it. All right, Ben. So we did Wickerman, we did Let Me In, and it looks like you have one more bonus movie.
I do. So I've done Let Me In as the good example. I've done Wicker Man as the fucking terrible example. And then I've put Good Night Mommy as the completely pointless example because it is so aggressively middle of the road. You watch the original.
So quickly, Ben, just for the benefit of everyone else in this room, and I imagine 99% of the listeners.
Okay.
What is this film?
Essentially, mom and two kids move into a new house. Mom has had facial surgery, so it has a bandage all over her face. One child doesn't believe that that's his mom. Other child is dead set that it's his mom. Big sort of weird twisty-turny movie. Very fun. I'm not going to spoil it because I recommend you watch the original. It's super fun. The American remake is identical. No reason for it to exist other than slightly different language. And there's a blue filter on everything. That's it. That is literally it.
Oh,
well,
watch the original though.
You don't need subtitles. And
no, that's it.
I got fired from my first job. I worked in a DVD and record shop we had over here called Virgin Megastores. And the guy came in and he brought in Let Me In. No, not Let Me In. He brought in Open Your Eyes with Penelope Cruz, which was remade into Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise.
Right.
They were like, same surname, fine. And he brought it in and he said, I'd like to return this. Now, generally, it's not my money. So I would list the valid reasons. I was like, oh, perhaps you bought this as a gift for someone and it turns out they already have it. Or perhaps that's not the reason. Perhaps it doesn't work in your equipment. Perhaps maybe pick from this list and then I can more than happily give you a refund. And then he goes, no, mate, it's because it's got subtitles. And if I wanted to read, I'd buy a fucking book. and I went, but you can't, can you? And then I got fired.
Oh.
That's fair. That's fair, though.
That happened to us when
Crouching Tiger
came out. I did not say you couldn't read, but
she thought it.
I thought it.
Yeah.
I love that.
The last one on my list is not necessarily horror, but The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Incredible film.
The original versions did not need to be remade, but the new
David Fincher one is really good.
It's good, but then they didn't finish. They didn't finish.
It didn't. So Ben and I. This is good you brought it up. Actually, Ben and I are currently covering every David Fincher movie ever. And I was a fan of the original films as well, and I'm a massive Nine Inch Nails fan. Like I can tell you the name of every dog he owned, like depending on the year of the 90s. I can give you his home address. It's weird. It was my special interest when I was a teenager. He did the soundtrack for this movie, and I adore the film, but it didn't have enough box office to get enough funding for a sequel that David Fincher wanted to make. So they said, okay, it didn't really make all that much. We'll give you half the budget of the first one. And he just went, well, I can't make it for that. Bye.
True Fincher fashion.
Yeah. I think it's a brilliant film. Brilliant film.
I need to watch him.
Well, I hope so, because we're covering it, Ben. So
we'll get to that bit. We'll get to it.
Are you guys ready for our burning question of the day, I guess you could say?
Ooh.
Sure.
I don't know, am I?
What's an American movie you'd like to see remade in a different country, and which country would you like to see it remade in?
Ooh.
Do you know how ridiculously hard that question is, and how much time I've put into going through my entire collection going, would this work in Korean? I've landed on a couple. So I would like to see Jurassic Park made by a Korean director, just because I'm a little bit obsessed with how Americans are represented in Western films that are directed by Korean directors. So like Stoker by Park Chan-wook, who's got like, everyone's menacing, everyone's super weird, and you've got like a niece masturbating in the shower over a biological uncle, and everything is just sort of like played out completely normal. But when you're
so Korean,
it's like when you're watching it, you're like, is this what people think? Is this a representation to the world? Okay, cool. And then you watch stuff like Okja with like, everyone is way over the top in that, and everyone's like caricatures of themselves. Just give me Jurassic Park in that universe. That would be incredible. Imagine Jeff Goldblum in that. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I do.
Okay.
While Jackie thinks. I'm going to try and avoid offending too many people.
But I'm already desperate to hear this one.
So you know the film Pearl Harbor with Ben Affleck?
Nailed it.
Right.
Fucking hell.
I'd keep the romance subplot. I'd keep the song. I'd keep the slow motorcycle ride while he thinks. I'd keep all the cheesy dialogue, but I would do the Japanese version of like guy in Hiroshima who's desperate to see his wife who lives in Nagasaki, because there is a guy.
Oh,
there's a guy who was in both. He survived one, got the train.
Hiroshima, trained to Nagasaki, and got hit the next day with a Nagasaki bomb.
Oh my
right.
God.
And I would
could be a rom-com, man.
Right, this is what I'm thinking. We could do like a rom-com of like,
a rom-com in one of the worst human
Yes.
tragedies
Yeah.
of all
Yes.
time.
Now think of it this
Y'all,
way.
Marketing spin. You know what I mean?
Right. Now think of it this way. It would probably be the worst film ever made. But if it
Yeah.
wasn't, it would be the most human, caring, life affirming, a little bit like Jojo Rabbit. I wouldn't have made Jojo Rabbit 30 years ago. I don't think we had the sensitivity for
Okay.
it. But now you go, oh, wow, life is beautiful.
Yeah.
Just
All right.
set a comedy in the worst scenario and have it be a film about, do you know what? Awful things happen, but life finds a way. Back to Jurassic Park now, aren't we? Damn it.
There you go. There's Jeff Goldblum comes in the Jeep. You know what I mean? That's it.
well, for mine, hear me out.
Oh, okay.
Legally Blonde.
Okay.
But I Ben already said Korea, but I was always gonna go with Korea because I'm obsessed with Korean
Awesome.
everything.
Mhm.
But instead, you have a Korean man who is in the United States going to college, right?
Ooh.
But he has
Ooh.
decided to go back to Korea to go and go to law
Mhm.
school in Korea.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
He is dating a Korean American girl, but
Okay.
she is very Americanized. Bleach
Right.
blonde
Right.
hair,
Mhm.
legally blonde.
Right, right.
So he breaks up with her. He doesn't tell her it's because he is like some rich, like successor to a big conglomerate family, and
Right.
that
Right.
he's intended to be married off to another rich
This
conglomerate
is
family
already
girl.
working, yeah.
Yeah.
And so she just thinks, you know what? I'm going to work hard and get into like the hardest law school to get into in Korea. And she does.
Nice.
She makes it. She goes
Amazing.
over there and she is a fish out of water because she is Korean, but not Korean enough because she's Korean American and very
Right.
Americanized. And everyone's making fun of her and she's not understanding, doesn't fit in, and learns to find herself and her Korean culture and connects.
That'd be incredible.
I
And
would
what an
watch the shit out of that film.
and it would finally cure Korea of the plague of racism that they just,
No, 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 Rob. Not at all. No, Rob. You almost had me.
This is what he does, man. Week in, week out, he's a bastard for it. He leads you in with a little thing, and you're like, "Give me the validation." And then he fucking pulls the rug and turns you into some weird right-wing felon. Hate it. Hate it.
All right, Jackie, what about you?
I am also going Korea, since they are having their 4B movement now, and maybe a retelling of Thelma and Louise
Ooh.
with the 4B movement as like the subplot and the catalyst for like their adventure.
Please
That would be
excuse me,
really
but I'm
interesting.
Demise.
please excuse me, but I'm very British and very man. The 4B movement?
Go
In
ahead, Danielle.
Korean, there's like guess there are four words that start with B. I
Okay.
don't really know, but essentially Korean is very patriarchal and there's a lot of misogyny and
Right.
it's very difficult for women in Korea. And they're, because of this, it makes it harder when they're working. It makes it harder
Yeah, of
that,
course.
they are to like have kids. Like obviously having a male is the most important thing, like when you're having a kid
Right.
and all that other stuff. And then there's like a large amount of like sexual harassment and things happening in their culture.
Okay.
And so the women are like, fuck this. All they're asking for is
Yes.
things to change and there to be some equality and better circumstances. So until that happens, a lot of them are foregoing like dating, marrying, having babies, any of it.
Yes.
Nice.
And their
Yeah.
birth rate is getting lower. Like I mean, every birth rate around the world is decreasing.
Yeah.
But I think it's as bad as that. Like maybe their kindergarten class doesn't really exist in some
Wow.
cities.
Shit.
Yeah,
This is
it's
incredible.
yeah. I just gave you a very poor man's version of what this
But
is, but
I
I
at least have an
definitely
understanding that there is a gender revolution occurring in
Yes.
Korea that I had
Yeah.
no clue about before. So
And-
sorry, Thelma and Louise.
yeah, definitely look into it.
Yeah.
I would 100% will.
So that was my idea.
Again, I
Very
would
good
watch the shit out of
choices.
that one as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what we got next?
Now it's time to have y'all become our honorary Blockbuster employees and share your employee picks. So time frame is our time frame, 95 to 2005.
Yeah.
You each get 3 movies to recommend to customers.
Right.
3.
I'm just looking at Ben's notes.
I got confused, man. I got lost in like sidetracks. I was
Lost
like,
in translation.
yeah, dude, I was
Speak
gone.
the same language.
I had to change some things. Yeah, there's like horrors, there's body horrors, there's like goofy horrors. I don't know what I was supposed to do in this. I just listed like 14.
Ben, you realize it's not your 3 favorite. It's just 3 films that maybe people may not have heard about that you would recommend, right?
It could be your 3
I
favorites.
understood.
Just 3 movies. That's it. In that
I'll
time frame.
I'll pick 3 out of these.
Out of the 19 that you've written down.
Yes, I'll pick 3. Just circle back round to me.
Okay, so the first one I've gone for is actually, I can't say favorite film, but if people ask me what my favorite film is, this is the one that I have ready to go off the top of my head, which is Hedwig and the Angry Inch. And the first question anyone asks me is like, is that a weird Harry Potter spin-off? And then I get very angry. And I'm like, no, it's from 2001. Bear with me here. It's a punk rock musical about an intersex immigrant who was born in East Berlin when the Berlin Wall was up. So they grew up in a context where it was one city divided in half, and they felt like they were missing their other half. They needed to find their other half, and they assumed that they were on the other side of the wall. And so they did what they had to do to get over there, which was they married a GI. But because of the medical exam, they have to have a sex change. It goes wrong. And they end up intersex, living in a trailer park in America. And their GI husband leaves them about a week later. And they look at the television and the Berlin Wall has collapsed.
Oh, wow.
And they then decide to start a punk band. And the musical element of it is what you're watching them do a tour across like TGI Fridays locations because nowhere will host them. So they've got this bizarre situation where they're allowed to play next to the salad bar, and all of the songs are written from they're all the songs of this performer who is learning to deal with what's happened to them, and it's about what happens next. But it's a 2001 trans film, essentially, long before that was ever a thing. When I say it makes me cry every time I watch it, but it's one of the funniest comedies I know. I listen to the soundtrack regularly. I think it's incredible. I think that it won the Oscar for hair and makeup, but I think it got that because it deserved an Oscar in other ways. If you've not seen it, I cannot recommend a film more. And I cannot recommend an album more. I adore it. It's a bizarre thing, but I just love it.
It's an incredible film. Incredible.
I've seen it on Broadway.
Oh,
was
wasn't it? Who was Hedwig? Did you?
Taye Diggs was.
Oh,
fuck, man. All right, yeah, fair.
Yeah, it's brilliant,
the
right?
first thing he said when he came out was, "Your eyes are not fooling you. The bitch is black." And I was like, yes, I am in the right place.
Yeah,
incredible. What I love about the film is I'm so barely on the LGBTQ spectrum that it doesn't really count. I don't like to include myself as part of it. So I mean, yeah, with weird hand stuff in the past. So like, I feel like it's not enough to count. It's not enough to count. And so I feel like the reason I love the film is not because I am trans, not because of any of this, but because when you remove the gender equation from your character, which they do with Hedwig by making them intersex, it stops being an LGBTQ movie. It stops being a gendered romance. And it's a romance about a person who's completely free of the gender construct. They can choose to be either side of it. And it becomes more about identity and the sense of duality, and that sense of, if you are looking for somebody to complement you and make life okay, is that healthy? is it healthy to outsource your self-worth to a stranger you haven't met yet?
Mm.
It's incredible.
I love that because I think so many people are missing the assignment on being on this planet, which
Yeah.
is, because we've been spoon fed this whole
Mm-hmm.
thing that find your other half, your
Right.
partner, whatever. And so many people do not go internally to
Mm-hmm.
find the missing elements
Right.
and become whole themselves.
Mhm.
I do like the idea that when you do partner with someone, it's to have a witness to your life and not
Right.
necessarily as a completion. Or
Right.
maybe that person is there to challenge the things that you need to grow within yourself. I would love for this world to start being a little bit better about figuring out that that's what our journey is and not
Right.
Mm.
Right.
because you just get so it's a misconception to think that someone else is going to complete you or
Right.
fill in those voids. And I think that's why so many of these relationships don't work because they're missing the point or
Right.
they're
Yeah.
confusing attraction with love. And
Mhm.
Right. And
that's not what that
if
is.
you only like 20% of yourself, somebody can come in to your life and like 25% of you, and you will think that they love you enough,
Right.
right? Because that
Mm.
will be more than you love yourself. And
Right.
therefore they can be not there 3/4 of the time emotionally, or listen to you 3/4 of the time, or they can not make you happy 3/4 of the time, but it's still more than you do for yourself. Therefore they get a free ride, and you
Right.
end up stuck in this toxic, horrible thing, all
Mm.
because you didn't realize that it should be 1 and 1 equals 2, not 0.5 plus 0.5 equals 1.
Right.
Yeah,
And I have
definitely.
to say, the more that you do that work and you start to love yourself fully and start filling those voids and realizing that it's not coming from someone else,
Mm.
it makes it harder to be with other people
Yeah.
because, like you said, if they're only coming,
Uh,
if I'm at 110% and you trying to
right.
love me 20, get the fuck out
Right.
of
Right.
here.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, Ben, what is your list?
All right, I'm gonna echo Rob's sentiment here. I'm gonna recommend Audition, right?
Okay.
It's a Japanese horror movie. It stars our good friend, what's the detective's name in The Grudge? Nagakawa?
Good.
Nagasaki?
Yeah.
Nagakawa? Naka
Nagakawa, Ben.
Nakakawa? Yeah, Nagasaki's the place. Nagakawa. So it's
Yes.
got stars him, Ryo Ishibashi. And it's about a guy who loses his wife, and his producer buddy is like, "You're not whole without a person. Let's set up some fake auditions to find you a new wife." So that's
Yeah.
what happens. Some woman gets cast for a film that's never going to be made. It's sort of like a weird thing where they fall in love to a degree. A few twists and turns happen. She ends up being a brutal psychopathic killer, just being the most brutal murders with the
It's
piano
Mm.
stuff that involves piano wires and acupuncture needles to the eyeball, like
How did I know
underlid.
that it was going to go this way? You were like, it's a
Mm,
lovely film.
no,
Yeah, it's
it's
gorgeous,
about.
I don't
gorgeous.
like horror movies. You guys know this, but
Hmm.
again, that movie
Right,
is fucking.
right. It's
I
the
mean, there's
ultimate
probably just a
payback is
sick part
amazing.
of me that's just like, get it, girl, do
Right?
your
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah,
exactly
yeah.
what it is. It's like, oh, is that piano wire tight enough though? Did his whole foot come off? Should we maybe go again?
It was one of those movies. I've not seen it, and the reason I've not seen it is
Mhm,
because back when a lot of the cinema was coming over to the UK, there was
mhm.
one distributor called Tartan Extreme,
Yes.
Hmm.
and all of the DVDs were Tartan Extreme DVDs, and it got
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
point where, especially because I was working in a Virgin Megastores, right? So I'd go to
Mhm.
the foreign movie, and I'd try and find all the Tartan Extreme ones, but there were ones because I was like 17, I was still living at home, and there's one television, one DVD player, so I kind of have to make picks that I can sell to. We should watch this, right?
Right.
Right.
And like I got away with so much. Old Boy, oh yeah, it's about great premise.
Yeah.
I didn't know how it ended, right? So it's not
Yeah.
on me. Lady Vengeance, I'm like, it's the same guy that did Old Boy, and it's again one of my favorite films. Like, oh, that's a heavy film, but it's got quite an artistic cover.
Sure.
Audition Audition had a lady in a very low cut, like sexy dress. And that was the DVD cover. So every time I was like, "What about this one?" And family were like,
I mean,
no,
she's also holding a syringe,
right?
Like... Yeah, but it was sexy enough that the family got, "Oh, we're gonna have to watch sex scenes together whilst trying to eat dinner," and that's not.
They were just racist. That's all
that's
it
what it
was.
was. Pure what it is, man.
Okay, what's next on your list? And also, guys, I just want to preface, I do love that you're giving the background of the movies. You're the first to do so.
Yeah.
Y'all are selling me on movies, even movies I've already seen.
Right. So my second one is one that I hope everyone has seen. If you haven't, I love it, and I love it because it's it's complicated. Donnie Darko. I adore the film Donnie Darko. I saw it for the first time in a tiny cinema. It's like we had like the big multiplex cinema near us, and then we had like the arts center. And the arts center had like a tiny screen that basically was what we would now call a television. But because we were rocking like 12-inch CRT televisions back then, right? So a 50-inch
I've still got one.
Right, exactly. So we went to the Arts Center to see this movie, and it came out. It's called Donnie Darko, and it's this beautiful, nostalgic sort of 80s pastiche that just sums up the sort of melancholy of being a teenager beautifully, and then ends incredibly vaguely. It flopped at the cinema, and I told all my friends about this incredible movie with this guy that's dressed as a rabbit, and they were all like, "Oh, it's so shit, mate. Oh, you're watching Looney Tunes, bruv. What the fuck, bro?" Right? And so I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then it becomes really popular on DVD, and it gets a cinematic re-release, and then all of those same people are like, "Oh, mate, have you seen Donnie Darko? It's amazing." Right?
I met you when you were 18, and Donnie Darko was a big chunk of your personality. And the first time I met you, I fucking hated you. When you told me about Donnie Darko, I was like, I'm never fucking watching that film. And to this day, still never seen it.
Right.
Well, now we know you guys have to come on the show and do Donnie Darko, and Ben will have to watch
in a heartbeat.
I'm 1,000% up for it.
Because it's not part of any larger series either. And he did a director's cut, and I swear to God,
okay,
he should not have done, because what he did was he was like, I left all of this stuff vague and open to interpretation, and it's more about the feeling of a thing than the. And then the director's cut, he's like, so basically aliens from 4,000 years in the future, and you're like, shut up. All
right. Well, what is your second pick, Ben?
I'm gonna go with.
Please say Leprechaun in the Hood. Please say Leprechaun in the Hood.
I was going to lean that way, but I think I'm going to go with Jason X.
Okay.
Okay, so Jason X is the 10th installment in the Friday the 13th franchise, my personal favorite franchise of all time.
I've seen one of them.
Well, this one, buddy, is going to knock your tits off. Are you ready?
Right.
It's in space for reasons that make no sense. Also, nanobots for reasons that make no sense. Right. The whole film is a disaster, but it's a wonderful disaster. You're in it straight away. As soon as you're in it, you're like, this is nonsense. No rules apply. Let's just see where it goes. Giant, half robotic psycho killer from Camp Crystal Lake with a machete.
Yep.
Right.
Bumping around a spaceship. In space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
okay.
My goodness.
Yeah.
All right, Rob, your third pick.
Oh no, because it's right. So Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind will make me cry like a child who has dropped their ice cream on their birthday.
It's very specific.
And memory. I will ugly cry for at least the last half of the film. I can't watch it very often because it is exhausting to watch. But there is something about I despise Jim Carrey, and I know you all hate me for saying that. No. I find his energy annoying. He's like every hyperactive child that I've ever met. When you go around to a friend's house and they've got their other friend who's got a 5-year-old, and they're like, look how high I can kick. Yeah. And I'm like, that's Jim Carrey just as an adult. And I find it uncanny and horrible. And I'm like, stop trying to impress the grown-ups, Jim. Fuck off. It's 9 o'clock. Go back upstairs to bed. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is one of his few incredible dramatic roles.
Yeah.
And it sums up the sadness in the difference of feeling between the start of a relationship when everything is potential and the bitterness at the end of the relationship. And it juxtaposes those two states so beautifully by having the memory of the romance present at the end of the romance, trying to protesting what they've become and kind of rebelling against, no, we wouldn't be that. We wouldn't do that to one another.
Right.
But they're doing that in the face of the fact that they definitely have. That's why they're in the situation they're in. And it's very rare to see a film that so cleverly and adultly deals with the sort of mourning of a relationship when it ends. That it has to end, that it's good for you both, and the reason that it's ending is a healthy one, but there's still that mourning period where you look back on all the potential that there once was. And it does it in an inventive and a funny and a gripping way, and it just makes me cry forever. I'm so dehydrated by the end of that film.
And Ben, your third?
Okay. I'm gonna stick with the revenge theme. I'm gonna go Dead Man's Shoes.
Oh,
have you guys ever seen it?
No,
we can't tell you anything about it.
I can't. It's hard. It's hard. It's so hard to sum up the story without just ruining the entire film. But
okay,
Paddy Considine in an early role, arguably one of his better roles.
Paddy Considine, for your primarily American listenership, is a British character actor who is terrifying in everything that he does, and you might have seen him if you watched House of the Dragon, the Game of Thrones new series. He's the man whose face melted, the king.
He's also in Hot Fuzz, and he's in World's End.
I love him. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the lead, right? And it's incredible. It's essentially he's on. It's fine. I can't like sum up the story in a way that's going to do it justice. It's mint.
It's a small rural town in England who have a small gang of rural drug dealers who are very well. They're very, very believably played in the sort of mundane cruelty that small time drug dealers have. And suddenly a man appears who starts harassing them, played by Paddy Considine. And as the film unfolds, you find out why and how. But
just leave it there.
I've never been more terrified by a man's still face.
It's the worst.
Delivers dialogue in a deadpan manner that you believe in your soul.
There's one bit in a pub that will stick with you forever, and to this day, whenever I hear anyone go you cunt, it's like I'm gonna back away from this one, buddy.
Why don't you guys tell everybody where they can find you on social?
Well, you can find us everywhere. We're on
we normally
TikTok.
really struggle with this, but you very kindly wrote down our own socials handles for us on the document that we have in front of us.
Yeah. You can find us on TikTok, Every Movie Ever Podcast. Didn't know that was our handle. You can find us Instagram, Every Movie Ever _podcast. Also did not know that was our handle. And YouTube, Every Movie Ever Podcast. There you go. We're also streaming on like every streaming service ever, Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You guys can follow us at No More Late Fees on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Threads. And don't forget to stay tuned as we brace ourselves. Well, I brace myself for Saw next week.
I'm so excited.
I don't know why.
Good luck, guys.
It is one of my favorites from my time period. Anyway, be kind and rewind.